This time on the Gadget Show.
Gail and I get very, very competitive in a challenge where we go head-to-head testing hybrid bikes.
Look at that! Look at that!
High-tech wetsuits.
Oh!
And chillaxing games.
John discovers just how good energy-efficient tellies really are.
And Otis meets an awesome robot that can rebuild itself if it gets broken.
Hello and welcome to the Gadget Show.
Yes, now let's not waste any time with small talk or obvious baldness gags. Let's get straight to the kind of tech-fueled, information-driven entertainment that you've come to know and love from the show we call Gadget.
Yep, and it's time for this week's challenge, and it's particularly difficult for me because, firstly, it is my first ever challenge.
Yep.
Secondly, it was a competitive challenge. And I seem to think that this man here is probably the most fiercely competitive man I've ever met in my life.
What, me competitive? No.
Yes, you so are.
I'm not competitive at all.
You so are.
No, I'm not.
I'll race you to the wall of fame.
You're on! Yeah! All right. OK, all right. That's how it's going to be, yeah? That's fine.
Time for the first part of this week's challenge.
If that's the way
we're
you
going to
want to
test
play
a
it,
new breed of bike.
It's fine. All I'm saying is that Susie would never have humiliated me like that.
Whatever.
Someone's got to say it.
BMX bikes are brilliant for tricks, mountain bikes are brilliant for cross-country. But what if you want to do both?
If you're after agility and speed, the perfect tech combination for jumps and cross-country, then what you want is a new breed. A cross between a BMX and a mountain bike, and I've got one of the first in the world.
A few weeks ago, we heard from a small band of BMXers in rural Shropshire called Faction Bikes, who've come up with what they think is a winner, the Zeitgeist. It's based on a BMX, but with bigger wheels and a longer frame, which should make the bike stable as well as nimble.
That's fabulous, Jason, but I've got my own very sweet ride here while your boys were in their shed creating that fabulous bike. Mountain bike giants Marin were creating their own half and halfer, and this is their prototype, the 4Cross.
The 4Cross is more like a mountain bike with BMX-like features, built around Marin's mountain bike suspension, but with proportions better suited to tricks, a shorter wheelbase and a smaller, lighter frame.
Both these bikes have the facilities to handle just about anything you can throw at them. They could, in fact, signal a revolution in biking.
But which is best? Well, it was time for a challenge.
Can your small-town newcomer take on my big brand baby?
Well, does anyone want to find out? Pad up, round up, and get a race on.
We had to spend an hour getting to know these bikes under the tutelage of pro riders Keith and Rob, and then put our newfound skills to the test, performing a BMX-style stunt and competing in a mountain bike-style challenge.
I was thinking we could maybe do some kind of bunny hop. I almost broke my wrist.
One of the great things about the Zeitgeist is that it's got fittings for front and back brakes, which meant I could pull a whole range of tricks.
Of course, the other advantage I've got over Gail, I think, for certain parts of this challenge, is just the bike is just so light because there's so little of it.
Meanwhile, I was getting to grips with the 4Cross. It was heavier and larger than Jason's bike, but felt really stable, which was just as well.
That's it, perfect.
Then, after only an hour of practice, it was time to put our stunt riding skills to the test in the first stage of our competition. We would be judged by our pro riders, and the winner would be rewarded with a 2-second head start in the race that followed.
It was me up first to try and pull off my stunt. Could my sturdy frame and tough suspension save me from wobbling off?
Keep going, girl. Woo! Yeah! Look at that! Look at that! Look at that! That is spectacularly good!
I couldn't believe it. I'd actually done it. Surely I had this in the bag.
But Gail hadn't counted on the fact that I was performing not one stunt, but 4. This bike could do everything.
Oh!
Even the impossible trick I'd failed to pull off in training.
Yeah!
Guys, what's it going to be?
I think Jason's got the moves. I agree. Yeah.
Oh, guys, thanks so much.
Which meant that I got the 2-second head start in the race. We were off.
Tiny wheels and small cogs mean fast acceleration.
Jason had a massive lead, but my large wheels were building up momentum on the straight.
I was still leading on the corner, but I didn't know I was about to get into serious trouble on the long uphill leg.
I think I've expended too much energy. Oh, no.
It was time to put my tech into action.
This is where 9 gears come in handy. Oh!
I pulled past him effortlessly.
Woo-hoo! Come on then.
But the downhill stretch was a minefield
Oh, yeah.
of horribly tight corners and jumps.
Whoa, almost lost it.
I was really feeling the benefit of the 4Cross's tough suspension.
But my Zeitgeist was flying over the hills, and thanks to its compromised size, it felt stable as well as manoeuvrable. Oh, and the brakes were really coming in handy.
This is too close for my liking.
The 4Cross was petite enough to handle most of the corners, and the gears were a massive bonus. Jason was having to pedal like a whirlwind.
We were neck and neck, but on the final hairpin, I was able to fling my tiny bike round the bend with seconds to spare.
And I lost it right on the last corner.
Woo, woo, woo! Yay!
Hooray! Whoa! Oh! That was great!
That was a fantastic day.
In terms of the tech, I think what Marin have got there is a beautifully engineered piece of kit, but I don't feel it's that different to a lot of bikes on the market. Whereas
Yeah.
the Zeitgeist, you've got to hand it to it. These British boys, they've come up with a bike that costs a few £100 and essentially brings BMX back to the BMX generation.
I.e. you.
Yes,
Yeah.
and now have slightly longer legs, and it just gives you that bit more room.
And it really suits you as well.
Thank you very, very
It
much.
does suit you as well. So you won that challenge.
Yay!
But there's plenty more to come from me.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome back. Now, I want to talk to you about flat-screen TVs. Something manufacturers haven't really made a song and dance about since we all started buying large LCDs and plasmas is what an enormous amount of power they consume compared to the CRT tellies we all used to own. This year, though, things have started to change. Suddenly, it appears manufacturers are now concerned about the power consumption of their TVs, and some of them have started boasting about the energy efficiency of their latest ranges. Obviously, the attractions of a huge, great flat-screen telly can only increase if it's also going to save you money on your electricity bills. But are these new eco-conscious tellies any good, or just a horrible compromise? To find out, I embarked on some in-depth testing. I've chosen 5 of the best power-conscious TVs, each of which has all sorts of tricks to keep your energy consumption to a minimum. But which is the most efficient? To find out, I took my TVs to the laboratories of Intertech, who carry out performance testing on electrical gadgets. This is the lab where it all happens, with my 5 TVs ready to try out. But only 3 can go through to the next round of the test. So, Intertech's experts are going to help me sort the tree-hugging hippies from the power-hungry hippos. We activated any power-saving features that the tellies claimed to have. Then we hooked each TV up to a power consumption analyzer and played a test film for 5 minutes to get the average wattage used. We also tested a standard television, one of last year's models, to use as a comparison. All 5 of our TVs beat last year's model for power consumption, but only the 3 most efficient could go through to the next round. First, the Sharp Aquos DH77, an LCD TV which uses ambient light sensors to dim the backlight and save energy. There are 2 eco settings you can apply on the Sharp. You can press the eco button on the remote, and that dims the overall level of the backlight. I'll go for the second of the settings, Advanced, which dims it the most. And you can go into the menu and switch on the automatic backlight dimming. They call it Optimum Picture Control. I'll do that as well, and it's making quite a difference. We calculated the average amount of TV a person watches a year, and this is how much they'd spend if watching our regular 270-watt TV. The Sharp used an average of only 74 watts, making a saving of £33.02 a year. That's 73% less than our standard TV. Next up, the Sony Bravia WE5 LCD. It has backlight control and also cuts power with the backlight itself, which uses hot cathode fluorescent lamp technology. One really fun thing about the Sony is that it's got a presence detector that picks up body heat in front of the telly. So if you go out of the room, say to make a cup of tea or something, it senses that you've gone and the picture switches off automatically, although the sound stays on. Then when you come back into the room, the picture comes on again. The Sony used an incredibly low 71 watts, which means you save £33.53 a year. Finally, the Samsung B7000. It's an LCD, again with backlight control, but that's not all. The particular energy-saving feature of this Samsung is that the backlight is made up out of LEDs rather than the usual fluorescent tubes. They claim this reduces power consumption by 40%. With the Samsung averaging 79 watts, you'd save £32.18 a year. So our top 3 TVs make some very impressive energy savings. There's no point in having a green TV if the picture quality makes you see red. To find which telly produces the best picture, I took our top 3 to TV critic Ian Hyland, a man not known for pulling his punches when it comes to quality. Ian, thank you for allowing me to invade your home with these TVs.
No problem.
How much TV do you normally watch?
I think I probably watch about 9 hours on average each day.
Wow.
On a weekday.
Ooh, so more than twice the UK average.
Yeah, well, I watch more than twice the rubbish that people watch in the UK, so...
But an Eco TV could really benefit your electricity.
Well, yeah, it's on all day practically, and sometimes I have 2 on, so obviously, if it's cheaper, that's fine by me.
Well, I've got 3 energy-saving TVs here, and I'd like you to tell me whether they're any good or horribly compromised. All 3 televisions can show full 1080p high definition. So first we checked out the picture with an HD programme.
First impressions are that the Samsung and the Sharp are very good picture quality.
Yeah.
The Sony one, I know it's on the highest eco setting, but it's too dim. It might be because it's on the floor compared to the other 2. I don't know if that would make any difference, but...
And it's still just as dark from down here. I mean, you could only watch it actually in the dark, couldn't you?
You watch it in the dark, or if you were watching really ugly people. I'd watch Big Brother on that TV, actually. That'd be perfect. I think the Samsung is better. It makes it a lot sharper for some reason.
Certainly got the best picture of the 3.
Yeah, the Sharp, I'm really going off the Sharp, because it just blurs all the time.
So the Samsung had impressed Ian the most so far, but would it fare as well with standard definition, the true test of day-to-day TV viewing?
Sony's still dark.
Yep.
So it's consistent, if nothing else. Samsung, for me, is still the best one. The Sharp's OK on close-up shots, but the Samsung, it's a much better picture.
The Samsung's lit by LEDs, they're around the edge,
right.
And it means that the screen as a whole can be much, much thinner because there isn't that fluorescent tube in the back.
Yeah, well, that's nice if you want to stick it on the wall and not see it.
And the Samsung is the least economical, marginally, of the 3. It's fractions of a p an hour.
Yeah, it's negligible, though, isn't it? I mean, you can do something else to save the planet. You could turn the fridge down, turn the heating off, give the kids an extra blanket.
John, a great piece. So let's give him a G rating.
3 Gs for the Sony. And you might think, because of the darkness of the picture, we'd give it less than that. But actually, Sony have been almost too clever for their own good. Because if you turn off just one setting, the power-saving setting, you end up with a picture that is at least as good as the other 2. But when you do that, it's just not quite as economical as they are.
And what about the Sharp? I like the price. It's very inexpensive.
3 Gs for the Sharp. It is a good price, and it'll deliver a good picture in a normally lit living room. But the picture quality actually isn't the best, and the sound quality lets it down quite a bit.
And the Samsung, which is just beautifully designed.
4 Gs for the Samsung. It is actually really delightful to look at, and that thinness is spectacular. It's not perfect, it is expensive, but it really shows that you can get a great picture and have a TV that's very economical to run. It really does point the way to the future.
So, the Gadget Show's Eco TV of choice is the Samsung.
Right, now it's time for the Wall of Fame. Each week on the Wall of Fame, we look at one particular area of gadgetry and choose the most iconic gadgets from that category to join our Wall of Fame.
Yep, every week Jason and I pick what we think should go on the Wall of Fame. We make our pitch and the final decision lies with Judge John Bentley.
Now, last week I chalked up my first ever win thanks to the ZX Spectrum, and I feel now I may be on something of a roll.
This week, it's a small yet perfectly formed battle to find the most iconic handheld games console of all time. Is it the Nintendo Game Boy or the Nintendo DS?
Before 1990, sitting on a bus was boring. Nothing to do, nothing to say, nothing to keep you entertained, no one to play with but yourself.
Then, a miracle. You were given a Game Boy, then all of a sudden, every boring situation imaginable became an opportunity to play some seriously addictive games like Tetris or Super Mario Land.
Back in the 70s, a Japanese man called Gunpei Yokoi saw a bored businessman playing with his calculator, just for something to do. And that got him thinking. So in 1980, he invented the Nintendo Game & Watch.
Then, a decade later, after some serious thinking, he only went and changed the world. In 1990, the Game Boy was released.
Costing just £99, it had a 160 by 144 pixel screen, mono sound, and lasted a massive 35 hours on 4 AA batteries.
Other handhelds like the Sega Game Gear and the Atari Lynx were released, and these had more brain power and flashier colour screens, but they were more expensive and needed a battery change as often as every 5 hours. You could play on one of these for days, non-stop.
In 1995, it was updated with a colour screen, and it stayed on sale until 2001 when the Game Boy Advance was launched.
Sales of the Game Boy and Game Boy Color total 118 million units worldwide. Now, I know that sounds incredibly high, but I can do better. Total cartridge sales of 400 million. That's enough for 6 games for each and every person in the UK.
And with many of those Game Boy-inspired games still around today, its place on the Wall of Fame is assured.
Oh, look at him go, little Otis in his lonely little world of Game Boy. Of course, it's all nonsense and nostalgia because the handheld gaming device that really deserves a place on the Wall of Fame is this, the Nintendo DS. The Nintendo DS was released in Europe on the 11th of March 2005, costing the same £99 in the UK as the Game Boy did. DS stands for dual screen, and its revolutionary touch and normal screens would lead to a whole new raft of game genres being developed. What makes this handheld console so brilliant is the combination of innovative games and just fantastic hardware, which includes the touch screen, the stylus, and the ability to use the microphone to interact with the games. At the back of the bus, I've got the older kids. They're playing the new version of a classic game, Super Mario Brothers, a game that has sold 17 million copies worldwide. You can't mess with that. In the middle of the bus, look, we've got the cute little kids playing a virtual pet game called Nintendo. It's a kind of Tamagotchi-style game in which you nurture a dog from puppy to adult, touching the screen, even talking to it at times. And at the front of the bus, the big kids, trying to roll back the years with a game called Brain Training, which I don't need to tell you about, because it's the best-selling DS game in Europe. Thanks to its broad appeal, the DS became the fastest-selling console ever, with 100 million sales in 4 years. That's 7 years quicker than the Game Boy. Do you know what? When we look back in 20 years, I think it's the DS that will be saying, change the face of gaming forever. And for that reason, I think it deserves a place on the Wall of Fame.
I think this is the most difficult contest, the most closely matched battle in the Wall of Fame yet. The original versus the one that's moved things on so much, both from the same manufacturer. This is a difficult decision. Game Boy DS. And the winner is... the Game Boy!
Yes!
Again!
I don't believe it.
Because it was the original popularizer of the portable game console, and so many of those games it made popular, they are still so popular today. And for those reasons, the Nintendo Game Boy deserves its place on the Gadget Show's Wall of Fame.
Hello and welcome back. Now let's get straight on with the second part of this week's challenge. Jason, as you may remember, won the first part in which we had to ride along some bumpy grass and stuff on very gadgety bikes.
Yes, and now was time for us both to just relax a little bit, let it all hang out, you know.
Yeah, but there was still a competitive element.
Oh, yeah.
Because this part was all about competitive relaxing.
Gaming isn't all about violent shoot-'em-ups and aggression. There's a new technology in the pipeline which could signal a revolution in gaming for relaxation.
You may remember last year I discovered the astonishing Mind Ball, which uses electrodes to measure your brain activity and tell you how calm you are. And only by relaxing can you move the ball. Alas, Mind Ball is not a video game, but there is equally astonishing biosensory technology in video games being developed right now. Software company Roll7, along with researchers from the Serious Games Institute, have used the technology of biofeedback to create some amazing games, controlled by the power of your mind. This is a prototype game called Airhead. It's a simple concept. 2 players, myself and Gail, each have a guy with a balloon, and we've got to make our guy with a balloon get to the finish line at the top of the screen first. Simple, you might think, except the only way that we can move him is by relaxing our minds.
And the more chilled you are, the higher your wee man with the balloon floats up into the sky. And it's this headset, called the NeuroSky Mindset, that reads your brain's electrical activity through sensors and then transfers that information via Bluetooth into the game. So you ready to play?
I am zenned out.
How chilled can I make my mind?
With our headsets on, we both tried to relax. Not easy when you're competing to win.
Go!
Thanks to my excitably competitive nature, Gail's red balloon took an early lead.
The NeuroSky headset is the first consumer example of an EEG machine which measures brain activity. Less complex than those used in hospitals, but able to tell the difference between attention and relaxation.
This technology has amazing implications. Roll 7 are currently using it to develop what are called socially responsible games. Games that help people overcome their social problems by training them to relax in virtual situations.
But the only thing on Jason's mind was sabotage.
Unfortunately, as soon as I tried to distract Gail, I stopped relaxing and started to fall.
Brain technology!
I knew those kung fu skills would put you in good order
It's
for
my ninja
this.
skills.
Yeah.
I am Yoda's daughter.
So it was 1-0 to Gail. But round 2 was all about finding out which types of console games make you most relaxed.
There are a raft of new games out there specifically designed to subvert the image of gaming as aggressive and violent. Games that encourage peaceful thoughts and tranquility.
But a recent study has found that gamers are more likely to feel calm after playing a violent video game. So what actually makes you more relaxed? A violent shoot-'em-up or a touchy-feely floaty-floaty love-you game?
Well, to find out, Jason and I subjected ourselves to a bit of scientific testing.
I would be playing my current favourite shoot-'em-up, Killzone 2, a graphic fragfest.
While I'd be playing Flower, a beautiful game brimming with natural serenity and relaxing escapism.
To measure our success in relaxing, we both wired ourselves up to heart-level monitors.
First, we took our resting heart rates. Mine was 78.
And mine was 72. We'd measure them again after 20 minutes of gameplay. The one who'd relax the most would win.
3, 2, 1, go!
Although my initial heart rate was faster than Jason's, I soon felt my game transporting me to a world of loveliness.
The way that you use the handset is quite relaxing. And I'm actually the wind controlling petals.
Meanwhile, I'd started with a low initial heart rate, but I certainly didn't feel stressed out. I was just in the zone.
It's actually really relaxing because of the focus required, you see.
But it doesn't matter what game you're playing. Surely you'll only feel chilled out if you're playing well.
But I was playing well, until all hell broke loose.
Oh my lord, I just got blasted big time. Get out of my way!
While Jason was busy getting killed by the enemy, I was creating new fields of flowers and I felt totally stress-free.
I settled down and played to win.
Try and shoot this guy in the kneecaps.
I felt like I was calm and focused, but could my heart rate possibly have remained lower than Gail's?
That's
amazing.
really good.
Awesome. I mean, both of us looked really focused.
I was kind of like, ooh, chilled, and you were...
It was amazing, and I'm fascinated to hear the result.
Well, I've got the results here, and they make interesting reading. Jason, your resting heartbeat, as measured before your 20 minutes play on
Right.
Killzone, was 72 beats per minute.
Okay, that's quite good.
Afterwards,
Yeah.
it was measured at 84 beats per minute, an increase of 12, Jason.
That's incredible! So much for my theory that was going to chill me out.
Out the window.
Gail, how did your gaming affect you? Well, your resting rate was 78 beats per minute.
Oh.
After 20 minutes playing Flower, your heart rate had decreased to 72. A drop of 6 beats per minute.
So I was more relaxed than you.
Yeah, I think that was fascinating.
So, you're one apiece.
Hooray! Oh, hooray! Right, it's time for a top 5.
Yes, now, you'll remember that Gadget Show Live happened this weekend. We met many of you, had a great time. It was the first ever Gadget Show Live at the NEC. But Gail kept herself busy. She went around all the stands, spy-like, checking out all the technology on offer to bring you her top 5 best things she saw at the show.
Over the last 3 days, a whopping 30,000 tech fans visited the first ever Gadget Show Live event, and it was great fun. Jason, Susie, John and Otis put on spectacular interactive live shows in the Super Theatre, and there were plenty of the latest bits of tech for punters to get their hands on, including gadgets that have never been seen before in Britain.
But of all the gadgetry on show at the 140 exhibitor stands, I chose 5 bits of kit, which were, for me, the standout tech of the show.
At number 5 are Vuzix's new Wrap 920 AV video glasses, which were unveiled to the UK public for the first time this weekend.
Not only do these function as a pair of very stylish sunglasses, thanks to their delightful wraparound design here, but once you plug these into your phone or your portable media player, you have got the viewing pleasure of a 60-inch monitor as viewed from 9 feet, and it's amazing. It's absolutely crystal clear. It's like having that huge telly perched right on the end of my nose.
At number 4 is the Engage X Desk.
This is a 52-inch interactive, multi-touch sensitive table. Not only can it identify multiple finger movements, so you can manipulate images, for example, but also you can sync your mobile device up to it either through Bluetooth or on physical contact with those fitted with a specific optical ID tag.
Just imagine the application for this technology in shops, hotels, restaurants. It's mind-boggling. At number 3 is the Go Cycle.
This snazzy-looking electric bike, which is launched right here at the Gadget Show Live, is the world's first ever with an enclosed 3-speed drivetrain and side-mounted wheels. The motor is hidden in this front hub here, and it can go anything up to 15 miles an hour. And on a single charge, it can travel up to 20 miles, which is good enough for me.
At number 2 is the UK's first commercially available projector phone, which was also launched at the event.
This innovative device combines a touchscreen mobile phone with a micro projector, which enables it to project anything that appears on the phone's screen. Whether it's an email, a photo or a video, it will be projected with a resolution of 640 by 480 at a size of up to 64 inches.
And at number 1 is the Panasonic DMR BS850, the UK's first ever standalone Blu-ray recorder, which was unveiled at Gadget Show Live.
Now, not only can you create your own HD Blu-ray discs on this machine, but its dual FreeSat receivers, it allows you to record 2 television programs at once. And with its 500GB hard drive, you can pause and review live TV like a PVR. If you've got some AVC HD footage, or you've got some high-def prints stashed away on an SD card, you can import them and then burn them onto Blu-ray disc.
A great top 5, Gal.
Thank you very much. It was really good fun doing that, and it was really nice to see Susie as well. She was looking brilliant.
It was. She gave a great performance. Unfortunately, though, she's still not 100%, so she won't be joining us in the studio for a couple of weeks yet. Right, we'd like to tell you about the next generation of robotics. Ultra-clever, ultra-adaptable robots, modular robots.
That's right. Now, all the robots that you see here have been built as single, complete unit. Apart from the Robonova, which is Jason's personal robot, this is actually a collection of separate robotic modules. In this case, servo motors.
Yeah, it comes as a kit, and I built it as a humanoid, but I could have chosen to assemble the parts into a dog, or a spider.
And it's this adaptability which puts modular robotics at the cutting edge of robotic research right now.
And Otis would know, because we just sent them over to the States, you lucky beggar, to check out some really clever modular robots.
This is a robotic snake called Frostbite. He's the 7th generation of modular robotic snakes designed and developed by a team here at Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh. In terms of hardware, Frostbite is not that complex. Each section or module of Frostbite contains a standard hobbyist servo motor, more typically found in remote control cars. But the magic is in Frostbite's bespoke software, which controls how each module interacts with its neighbors to create different types of movement. And this robot's flexibility and movement is almost without limit.
We got some amount of inspiration from normal biological snakes that you'll see in the wild, but that's not where we've really designed our snakes from. We designed them just from intuition, from trial and error, and seeing what we can make go across the ground and move in interesting ways.
Now, I see a kind of sidewindy type motion. I used to do that when I was a break dancer. What else has he got?
Now, how brave are you?
I'm reasonably brave.
Do you want to stand right there by the snake?
It doesn't bite, does it?
It doesn't bite. Okay. We don't have fangs on it yet. Just put one leg.
That's really creepy. That's really...
Frostbite is purely a research tool at the moment, allowing the team to explore the possibilities of modular robots. But with the camera now mounted in its head, the team are starting to realise the true potential of their creation.
Okay, so Matt, what would the applications of a device like this be?
So you can imagine there's tons of different ways this thing can move. So you can imagine it moving through rubble, moving across fields, but you can also imagine, you saw how it just climbed up your leg, which doesn't have just a definite shape like a standard tube. So you can imagine this going up flagpoles, going up pipes to inspect like power plants, or maybe even diving down in a shaft to a mine so they can do search and rescue efforts down in a mine.
Frostbite is a brilliantly clever modular robot, but 300 miles away at Pennsylvania University, the robotics team there have taken the concept one huge step further, creating a robot that can build itself. And to demonstrate this, they actually asked me to break their creation.
So you can kick it pretty hard just from the side?
From the side, okay. Life. Breathe.
Amazingly, straight away the modules started looking for each other.
So now those two clusters are going to turn around to try and find each other.
In addition to two small computers, each module contains a flashing LED and camera. The LED blinks with a unique pattern which the other module's cameras are programmed to look for. Once a module has worked out where the other modules are, they slowly inch towards each other using the flashing LEDs to calculate their relative proximity.
The basic idea here is to build teams of robots that you could buy by the bushel. So in the future, you won't buy a particular robot for sweeping your house or for cleaning your bathroom. You would buy 10 pounds of robots, and they would come into your house and they would configure themselves in different ways to do different jobs.
And are we looking at the final docking about to happen now?
That's right.
Okay.
So two of the clusters have already docked.
Yep.
And the third cluster is now going to join.
Look, they're about to connect. Oh!
The concept is brilliant. These small robot molecules can put themselves together like Lego bricks in a whole range of different ways to build a whole load of bigger robots. With the modules connected, magnets hold them together. Small additional infrared LEDs allow the modules to communicate with each other so they can then work out how to form their final shape.
It feels like I'm watching a special effect from a movie. Don't look at me, look at that. It's so creepy. Look. That's fantastic.
God, that was just mind-blowing. I'm now the modular guy, okay? I'm totally into modular robotics.
Okay, as you can see, the technology isn't quite there yet, but the potential for its application, especially in areas like search and rescue, is really encouraging.
I can imagine.
Hello and welcome back to the Gadget Show.
Now it's crunch time in this week's Gadget Show challenge. She won the gaming bit.
You won the biking bit.
Yes, and now it was all about the let's slip on some rubber and hurl ourselves down a slight incline bit.
Yes, otherwise known as the wetsuit challenge.
We've chosen two wetsuits rocking the very latest in technology to keep us toasty and warm.
I've gone for this brand spanking new Billabong wetsuit. It's solar heated. The panels are on the front and on the back, and they will keep my body core warm.
The Billabong SG5 has panels made from a mesh of cells which absorb sunlight and trap the heat inside them. It claims to be a whopping 30% warmer than a normal wetsuit.
Whereas I have gone for this, the world's first power-heated wetsuit. The Rip Curl H-Bomb incorporates a rechargeable battery which heats your core through two elements stretching up your back. There's also a titanium panel in the back to reflect the heat back into your body.
That is pretty cool, I suppose.
No, my seal-like buddy. That's pretty warm.
Well, he'd better hope it was, because we've come to Neen White Water Centre to test them out in a terrifying gadget race.
Our challenge had two stages. First, we had to sit in a pool of freezing water for 5 minutes to test how effectively the seats kept us warm. And then brave the man-made whitewater course, which pumps out an incredible 2 tons of water every second. This would test how flexible the suits are.
You ready for this?
Okay.
This is going to be cold. Oh, you're going to like this bit.
I don't want to sit down.
Woo!
We had to sit here for 5 minutes in water of nearly -10 degrees. We could check our body heat on a thermal imaging camera. Red areas were the hottest and showed where the most heat was retained, and blue depicted the coldest parts where most heat had been lost. The colder we got, the more trouble we'd have negotiating the rapids, so it was vital that our suits kept us as warm as possible.
Wetsuits work.
by allowing water inside, they don't keep you dry. Quite the opposite, they allow the water inside and your body heats the water and the wetsuit material just reflects the warmth back.
But my battery-powered suit meant that my body didn't have to work as hard, and our thermal imaging camera showed that the two elements on my back were doing their job. My chest, however, was another story. At least Gail had sun-trapping panels on her back and front.
I think the idea behind my suit, the Billabong suit, is a good idea, but I think you really need sun. You know what I mean? I think I've lucked out on this one a little bit. Yeah, let's go dry out in sunny Northampton.
I was feeling decidedly blue around the edges. High time to get out and compare the results.
It was clear to see that my chest had trapped some solar heat compared to Jason's cold front, but my extremities were purple and blue, signalling cold.
Whereas my limbs were much warmer. The heating elements on my back had kept my core warm, letting my body concentrate on the extremities.
So Jason was relatively toasty.
But we still had to brave the rapids, and we wouldn't be racing in rafts or canoes. Oh no, the Gadget show's vessel of choice.
Are you joking? You're having a laugh.
Was this blow-up Lilo?
No, Lilo!
Go on then.
3, 2, 1, go!
We got off to a flying start.
Face plant or what?
But as Gail was still much colder than me, I soon took the lead.
Wetsuits need flexibility as well as warmth.
Ouch!
My suit had extra supple side panels which helped me paddle hard. But before I could reach Jason, we were both in for a nasty shock.
I might have fallen off my Lilo, but so had Gail, and at least I was still warm.
Oh, this is great! All the water inside my suit is now warming up. The water's being heated at the back panel and then moving around to the front of my body and down to my thighs. It's actually a superb concept.
I've got a cold back. And I've got brain freeze. But that's just me.
Fortunately for me, my batteries were cushioned from my skin by an extra layer of neoprene, and I could hardly feel them.
Whereas my suit was lighter than Jason's and really flexible, but what little sun I'd soaked up was being obliterated by the crashing waves, which meant all my energy was going on keeping me warm.
And somehow, from out of this chaos, I fought my way ahead in the final straights.
Yay! Victory to the Brandmeister!
Damn you!
That was great.
I was exhausted after that day.
Well, that was a serious scientific test we were doing there.
It was
as we were going like that.
Wow.
Here's the winning wetsuit, actually, but I've turned it inside out in case it looks different. And you can see, actually, there, the heating element in the back. You could see it on the infrared camera, but it's very clear here also. And I've got to say, this is a revelation, this suit, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I got quite cold, but as I said before, there was no sun and it's solar heated, so, you know, I lucked out.
I think that means I'll win this week's challenge.
But it was so close.
2 to 1.
So close. It was excellent fun, though. I'm exhausted.
It was a whole lot of fun. We did some crazy things. That's it for this week.